You think I'd gloss over one of the most iconic teen movies of all time? As if. I mean, I'd have to be so totally clueless. Hi everybody, I'm Eric Lash, and welcome back to You Gotta See This. Now, this isn't your typical Film 101 Best Movies of All Time list. No. Here, I talk about the movies that you have to see in order to survive in pop culture. And I would be absolutely remiss if I didn't talk about Amy Heckerling's 1995 classic, Clueless. This cult classic has everything. I'm talking fashion, music, high school, Beverly Hills, sibling romance, and not to mention the fact that it is endlessly quotable. Amy Heckerling took the backbone of Jane Austen's Emma, reinvented it, and placed it in 1995 to give this comedy a touch of class and depth. It follows Cher Horowitz, played by Alicia Silverstone, and her best friend Dionne, played by Stacey Dash, as they play matchmaker for teachers in their school and take Ty, played by Brittany Murphy, rest in peace, Mama, under their wing in order to rehabilitate her and introduce her into popular circles. It follows the three on an adventure of love, relationships, friendship, and self-realization. Now, what happens along the way? You'll have to watch it and see for yourself. Let's talk about what makes this film special. It was one of the first truly fashion-driven teenage movies. If you haven't seen it, the costumes, the wardrobe, everything is iconic. Cher alone has over 63 individual outfits, including the iconic yellow Jean Paul Gaultier ensemble, the white Calvin Klein dress, and the beautiful red Alaya dress. Costume designer Mona May took a budget of $200,000 and turned it out. She worked some magic. She didn't just take from the fashion and the styles of the time, which, for those of you that weren't around, in the 90s, a lot of people were wearing kind of baggy jeans and flannel and that's about it. But she took those influences and merged them with vintage and retro fashion in order to create something totally new. The effects of the costuming from this movie can still be seen today, 26 years later. You see it referenced on countless runways and in many popular fashion brands. Not to mention the references from Willow Smith's Cosmopolitan shoot, the costumes from Ariana Grande's 2019 World Tour, and of course, Iggy Azalea, who cast herself as Cher in her music video for Fancy. A lot of the things that happen in this movie feel real and authentic, because they are. This was a passion project for Amy Heckerling, so a lot of the things that happened came from her personal life and her experiences from high school and her early 20s. She came out and said the virgin who can't drive was basically an insult that she could have used against herself. I mentioned this movie is endlessly quotable, and there's a good reason for that. The director actually went to Beverly Hills High School and observed the students. She listened to them, she learned from them, and she took her experience there and put it into the script. She also interviewed each of the actors about their own jargon and lingo and the way that they spoke, and used that to help inspire the characters. For example, in Cher's debate class, she's talking about the Haitians. However, she says Haitians. And when Alicia Silverstone was reading through the script in rehearsal, she actually said Haitians because she didn't know how it was pronounced. And Amy Heckerling was very careful. She was like, nobody correct her, nobody say anything, because it was so funny. A lot of the things that make this movie so special are also what makes it so important, namely its look at femininity and female friendships. Cher goes out of her way to take care of everybody around her. Look at her relationship with her father and relationship with her friends. She goes out of the way to take Ty under her wing and protect her and help her. And their relationship can't be destroyed by something as silly as liking the same guy and having a fight over it. It's these kind of deep, nuanced female relationships that are still largely underrepresented in our media today. This film also takes an unapologetic look at femininity. All of the women in this movie are like, I like to dress cute, but I can still do and say important things. And that, again, is so underrepresented in the media, and especially in movies up until this time. It's an important voice in female empowerment, and it should not be overlooked or written off as something that is superficial or vapid. This movie was also revolutionary in how it talked about sexuality. Cher, Dion, and Ty all have a very open conversation with each other about their sexual history. Now, they're able to communicate honestly and openly in a judgment-free zone. No one dwells on the fact that some are virgins and some aren't. It's just not a big deal. We also have one of the first representations of the gay best friend. Cher realizes that her crush, Christian, played by Justin Walker, is actually a homosexual. And she's like, okay, cool. Now I just have a guy best friend that is fantastic at shopping, and he seeks out the beautiful things in life. This movie also ushered in a new era of teenage and young adult comedy. Before, you had the John Hughes movies, which had some more serious undertones. And then, of course, you had Heathers, which is very funny, but very dark. I love it. I'll probably cover it at some point because it's so good, but it's very dark. With this, you have a kinder, gentler teenage comedy. But don't get me wrong, there's still a lot going on there underneath the surface. The use of irony throughout is brilliant. You also have the introduction of this seemingly shallow, but actually very deep and very well-rounded heroine. Cher might seem kind of shallow, fashion-obsessed, all that stuff, but she actually has a lot going on underneath the surface. She's kind, she's caring, she's involved in a lot. She takes care of her household. Look at the way she cares after her dad and cares after her friends. Without a movie like this, I don't know if you would get something like Legally Blonde or Mean Girls or even Easy A. Let's get on to the ratings. For rewatchability, I give this movie 5 out of 5 white topless Jeeps with like a little bit of a dent in the side because that potted plant came out of nowhere. It's hysterical, it's still relevant, and the jokes are so tightly packed in there, chances are you missed a couple things the first time you watched it, so give it another chance. For artistic quality, I'm gonna give it 5 out of 5 thigh-high stockings. The music goes along perfectly and helps reinforce some of the themes. It's a very well shot movie, and also the timing is impeccable. For quotability, I give this movie 10 out of 5 step-sibling kisses. There is so much in this movie that people don't just quote it sporadically, they quote it every single day. Once you watch it, some of your friends and a lot of the things on TV and in movies are probably gonna make more sense. Thanks so much for tuning in, guys. I love this movie, I hope you do too, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to subscribe and like this video and come back every Tuesday when I will discuss another pop culture juggernaut. In the meantime, have a great week. I love ya. Bye! What am I doing with my hands?